evening all, welcome back to the channel. So today we are invading Vulcanus. It is time we deal with the Demolishers, or the worms as I call them. You will see before your eyes a sped up production of awesomeness, if I say so myself, which is basically how to build an invasion fleet. So this is basically building 100 Spidertrons, but basically armed, not massively well armed, but again, you know, we can't always fit Legendary on everything, but this is basically going to be a kind of invasion fleet that we use to basically go and kill the worms. I don't know if it'll work. Last time I tried, well, really any tactic of killing the worms other than stationary turrets, it didn't really work. So I'm kind of curious to see if this works. So I already know if it works because I've literally edited this and I'm doing the voiceover now. It works, but there are some losses. There you go, spoiler. It's really interesting at the moment because I'm trying to kind of figure out what is the kind of optimum way to destroy Demolishers, and I've not yet seen a large Demolisher yet. That's to come. Spidertrons, I think, are an interesting challenge because they kind of work, but they also are a bit derpy. So anyway, you'll see. So we've basically fit them with a pretty standard fit, designed really to do that kind of alpha damage. Who would have thought the Factorio would become an RTS? Because that's what it's become. I have my support unit, which is the legendary Spidertron. That's my healer. And then we have our damage dealers. It's literally become World of Warcraft or some other kind of game like that. I do like that, actually. I think that's kind of funny. But the way that this kind of is going to roll is Vulcanus is not my primary target. This is a mere test. This is the quick sort of invasion of a province to see how quickly you can get the response. Test the sort of fits, see if it works. For example, none of the Spidertrons have self-healing capabilities. Is that a problem? Is that an error? Well, it's easier on the equipment, but maybe it's not. So, oh, and also there is a massive cop-out. Massive, like, you know, huge word, massive arrows pointing at it, flashing lights. I was going to build the missiles on Vulcanus. I just couldn't be bothered. An extreme bout of laziness hit. And I just thought, do you know what? I've got a mega base on Nauvis, literally pooping out these things. So why would I not just basically import them? Yes, it means thousands of rocket launches. I'm rich in Factorio terms, brah. So the way I see it is, why not just import them? I know it's lazy. I know I'll probably sort this out because Gleba is our target. I want to basically have the invasion fleet ready to go to Gleba. And we're going to actually have this as a standing army. Oh, it's so much fun. So here we are. So where are we? We've basically imported 100 Spidertrons and fits. And we now start to construct our grand army. You'll notice that they are lined up, already stood to attention. Love it. This, I tell you what, I get such a buzz from certain things in this game, and I don't pre-plan any of this, by the way. I know as a YouTuber, you probably would you expect me to maybe pre-plan some of this. No. I am an absolute chuckle fart at this. So as far as I'm concerned, I literally play the game and go, "Ooh, what if I did this?" And then suddenly it becomes a whole thing. So for me, it was like, oh yeah, I think you even heard me say it when I was playing live, you know, the last video, and I was like 100 Spidertrons. Well, here you go. This is the product of that. And again, I do stress this point. I'm at a point in the game where you can make anything, do anything, and it's very liberating. There's something very exciting about this. You can project force. So look at that. We've literally created 100 Spidertrons. We've got the fittings for them. They're being fitted. Oh my gosh, this is literally like an RTS. I feel like I'm playing Homeworld or something. And we're about to go and attack the Karak or whoever the enemy was in that. Was it the Vega? There's a Varga, wasn't it? Brilliant game, by the way. That's one of the games that I really have yet to play is Homeworld 3. So anyone who's played that, please tell me if it's good or not, because I don't want to buy it because it's obviously, you know, it's expensive. So We'll see. But as you can see, the armaments here are then being delivered, so we're using rockets to deliver. All of this is very messy. It needs a bit of a tidy up. So that's probably what I'm going to do between videos. But I think I mean, you can see how quickly it's delivered. It's not bad. 20,000 rockets is probably more than enough as well. I don't know, maybe it's not enough actually, but we'll see. But my kind of feeling with this whole fit is that this just shows, again, the incredible capability of having a mega base and the infrastructure connecting every planet. So the ability to project things, material, equipment across the stars is basically quite important. And I think I've forgotten that a bit. I think I've always tried to kind of self-bake at home. And the reality of it is you're better off probably just having some very big, transports that can just project things to you. So for example, anything legendary is being built on Nauvis. Why on earth would we then go and duplicate that on another planet? It's better just to have a kind of like Snowflake base is the mega base now. That is my daily ride, it's my whip, and it's basically what I'm using to go between all the planets. And look, we can then project 20,000 rockets into the face of Vulcanus, and there we go, we've armed our robots. Total time to get to this point where the swarm is assembled, about 20 minutes, I'd say. Maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, but we're ready. So here we go. We now begin the hunt. So I think the first target we go for is a relatively small worm. And I think this was based upon the fact that I'd not really expanded that much in Vulcanus. It's definitely been the one planet I did quickly then left. I set it up and I ran away basically. For no other reason. There we go. So we have our first worm. It's a little tiddler. It's a small one. So what I thought I'd do with this one is just stationary and invite it to attack. And as you can see, it works quite well. Boom. Now I don't know why it keeps telling. I think it's because I basically just put mods in. I put that planet mod in and it just thinks basically I played the game, like not played the game. Anyway, there we go. So we have our first demolisher done. And I know what you're thinking. That was a bit easy. Well, wait, because we haven't yet taken on the mediums. And I think this is probably where the army is going to be really tested. So the next thing we went looking for was a medium demolisher. And we found one pretty much straight away. Now this is where we do have a bit more of a test, let's say. A medium demolisher I think is certainly got more resist. There we go, medium demolisher. Look at the resist, a bit stronger, a lot more health. The way these things recharge health as well means that you've got to strike them quick and keep hitting them. Now 100 Spidertrons, that's 100 rockets. In theory this should work. So let's see. So I thought I'd try something a little different. Boom. Now that, again, you're like, that's easy. Oh my god, you've literally just become the overlord god general of Vulcanus, which obviously is true, but don't be fooled. Keep watching, because it doesn't quite go to plan in just a moment. And I think this is this is why we start to test the premise very slightly in the next few deaths. And here we go, in fact. So we have, I think this is another medium. And I thought, let's try something a bit different. But again, we killed it. And you're thinking, hang on, that was easy. No, we lost one. So why did we lose one? Well, because it spawns lava. That lava is pretty deadly. And I think you're going to see what's about to happen. But let's just pour one out for my little bro Pueblo here. Just basically got killed by a demolisher. Rest in peace, never forget. So I think this is quite... it's working. I mean, the tactic as it kind of goes, I think, is demonstrating it's quite good. And there we go. We've got our Gleba invasion fleet already loaded, ready to go. That'll be the next video, by the way. Post in the comments what you think. I mean, to me, this seems to be going so, quite good so far. However, we have taken damage, and I think that's been a good example. So the next little bit here is repairing said damage. And I think with the Gleba one, we'll do it live, as in I'll talk as I play. Only reason I didn't do it this way is because my good lady was basically talking at me. So I have my office. She came up the stairs. She just stood in the doorway and she talked at me, not with me, at me, for I would say probably about 2 hours while I was playing this. and I was doing the and then because women be women, they always think that you're not listening to them, so they kind of say, you didn't listen to me, what did I just say? And then you perfectly recite every word she just said. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean, because basically we have this sort of whiteboard in our brain, which is basically, I don't want to get told off and sleep on the sofa, so I'm going to remember the pointless stuff you're saying, but it's not going into the actual brain. It's just sort of filtering, just in case there's a test. And there was a test and I passed. So, I looked rather smug. I engaged smug mode when she challenged if I was listening, which of course I wasn't. But this is why I didn't do sort of a live commentary of this, because I was sat basically being talked at. There we go, fun fact. It happens quite a lot, actually. I think as I become more advanced in my years, which is a very sad way of saying get older, I'm very aware that I don't have as much time as I would like to do this sort of playing game stuff. I've got to admit it's become less and less, particularly now I have a dog as well. It's a bit of a challenge, but I'm sure many of you listening will understand and appreciate that. But why am I telling you that? I think it's just because it's an interesting problem of life, isn't it? And I think it's a sad thing, because hobbies and things like that, and just generally relaxing, is such an important part of life, and yet we always kind of feel bad. I know I do. I feel bad if I play games sometimes. And it's that whole thing of, I should go and exercise. I should go for a run. And you just feel like, oh my days. Can't I just sit and veg and eat a bag of crisps and have a Coke and just sit and relax? That genuinely feels like it's such a no-no now. Particularly because things like TikTok, social media, they make you feel bad. Anyway, here we go. So this is where we start to have a problem. Yeah, that just happened. We just lost 79 Spidertrons. I don't think I can ever properly recover from what is effectively a Demolisher atrocity. But look at that little pile. That makes me genuinely sad. I feel so sad for my little troop buddies here. They died. Now I think, again, post in the comments your views of what happened there, but I'm pretty confident that was lava opening up underneath the Spidertrons, and it just massively damages. It's a bit like biter spew, but way amped. It's like lava. It hurts big time, and I think that's probably what killed them. So I think at this point, I think we're going to do a sort of strategic retreat and kind of lick our wounds and repair. Now we could call more in, but this was a test. This is always ever going to be a test. Vulcanus base is not really under any threat. Unless they change that, I'm not particularly bothered about Vulcanus, because it really does a very specific set of things. It's the science and it's the belts. That's it. We don't really need it to do much more. So in terms of expansion, I'm good with this. The one that I really do want to solve is Gleba. So I think this tactic is going to work rather well for Gleba, because the thing with Gleba is Stompers are less numerous than biters. And the way these things work is they target an individual with enough damage to kill it. So if it takes 2 rockets to kill it, 2 will fire immediately, which is, I like that. It's not very realistic, but hey, we'll go with it. And I think that's why I think this was always going to be just a test. Because Gleba just to me remains probably the worst and the best planet. I don't know why, but I am constantly drawn to it. I quite like the base there, and I think that's probably why. But I do think there's something unique and interesting about Gleba. But anyway, it's a challenge, isn't it? At all times, I find that you have to kind of go where the threat is. And at the moment, Demolishers are not that huge a problem. In fact, they're not a problem at all. So maybe we just admit that was, 2-1 to me. I killed 2 Demolishers, or 3 Demolishers, and they killed, 76. So technically it's 76 to 3, but let's not go with that. Let's call it engagements, because that sounds better and feels better. And we just lost an enormous amount of equipment, but do you know what? They're only Spidertrons. They're stupid. I'll blow them up with a nuclear weapon if they annoy me. And there we go. So I think this kind of cements our opinion. So here we mark Pride. So we give some guy here basically a commendation. So the white guy basically there got commendation for killing the biter, and then red is given notable mention. These are our sergeants and our captains. So we now have a sergeant and a captain. I like that. I know it's stupid, but I have to do it. It's almost a bit like ancient Rome. You give people kind of, you know, when they've gone through a battle, you give them something to say well done, because it makes them realize, yeah, that was horrible. I don't want to do that again. So I think Vulcanus is done. I think we're tested here. Now we return to the megabase in space, megabase, and I think now it's time to really start looking with an intended eye at Gleba, because to me Gleba is a pain in the ass place, because we're constantly being attacked. You cannot reduce spores. Again, post in the comments if you've reduced spores. How? I think I saw something that said you basically concrete everything, which is not a bad idea, but we maybe will look at that. But at the moment, this remains to be the biggest challenge planet we have. And I would like to get to like Aquilo, because to me Aquilo is something I'd like to spend time on. But anyway, there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Lots of loss. See you next time.